Hey, Mark here. I don't have a conversation for you this week, at least not the kind of conversation you're used to. Instead, I'm here to give you a sneak peek at a great new podcast that we've been working on. It's called Mossback, and it features our resident historian here, Knute Berger, also known as Mossback. For years, Knute has been sharing his unique take on Pacific Northwest history through his Mossback's Northwest video series, which airs on KCTS9 here in Washington State. This podcast will allow him to go deeper, into the deep moss, as he calls it, in this introductory interview with host Sara Bernard. I hope you enjoy it, that it piques your curiosity, maybe fills you with delight, and that you'll subscribe. Okay, on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mossback, the official podcast of the Mossback's Northwest video series from KCTS9 and Crosscut. I'm Sara Bernard.
And I'm distracted. Sorry about that. I forgot to put this on airplane mode.
I'm glad we got that recorded, just in case it could be useful. All right, 3, 2... I'm Sara Bernard.
And I'm Knute Berger.
Okay, so Knute, first things first. What is a mossback?
Mossback is a word that's had many different meanings at different times in different places. But in the Pacific Northwest, in the late 19th century, it was a term of derision that newcomers had for old-time settlers. I came across a document recently written in the 1880s where the definition of a mossback was anybody who'd lived here for at least 10 years. In my definition, it doesn't take 10 years to grow moss here. You can, but
true.
It means somebody who lets the place change them, who become part of the place by virtue of their being here.
Okay, so what is Mossback's Northwest?
So Mossback's Northwest is a TV series of short-form historical videos. So who taught John Wayne to be John Wayne? We just launched season 5. We've been going since 2018. They were the remains of a massive prehistoric bison. And the purpose of it is kind of to explain ourselves to ourselves. Whether you're a newcomer or an old-timer, you're going to find something in here that tells you something you didn't know. To my mind, his outrageous crime is not even the most odd thing about his story. And we have a lot of fun doing it with artifacts, visuals, dramatization, and what have you.
Move over, Sasquatch. Meet Cadborosaurus.
Yeah, so the idea, from the beginning was to create specifically short-form history. But I imagine, each episode, it must take a lot of research, right?
Yeah, just because we've said something in 5 or 6 minutes doesn't mean we've told the whole story. It doesn't mean we've told everything we learned. We learn a lot of stuff after an episode is aired, but before it's aired, or there's conversation that you haven't been able to have, things that you haven't been able to share. And that's what we're hoping to do with this podcast. It's just to get to those other levels of stuff. I think of it as like deep moss.
That's right.
Let's really roll around in it and get to the next layers down, because there's a lot of good stuff there. We're looking at myths and legends like Paul Bunyan. Where did he come from? We're looking at sea monsters in the Salish Sea. We track the history of crab louis, a salad that is said to have originated here. Did it? We have a story about a black family, the Caton family, local publishers, prominent in turn of the century Seattle. And we look at their rise and fall, but also this amazing legacy they've left, not just the city, but nationally in terms of civil rights. Well, a lot of people have heard about Here Come the Brides, the Mercer girls, the mail order brides who came out to Seattle to marry the lumberjacks, etc. Well, we have a story that really puts a ton of context and really looks and strips off, I think, some of the sugar coating of that story, and I'm really excited about that.
What is it about historical exploration that drives you?
I have been fascinated with history ever since I can remember. Yeah, I come from a family that's really interested in history. We grew up with curio cabinets full of all kinds of interesting objects that people had collected that had historical significance of some kind. My father used to tell stories about, going up to the San Juan Islands and finding a button from a Royal Marines uniform on a beach on San Juan Island that was obviously connected with the Pig War. History was kind of all around, and you felt like you could reach out and touch it. So I think it's important for us to get to know ourselves and get to know what our relationship is with this part of the country. And there's not enough attention paid to what are the lessons that we learned from what we did before, who did what to whom, and what are some of the kind of fun and amazing stories about this region that you wouldn't ordinarily hear. And so it's an area of constant exploration.
Subscribe now. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen. The series comes out weekly starting January 26th.